We saw Jacoby and Brock Bowers back out there. I was wondering how are they feeling, and what's the likelihood of them playing on Sunday?
Yeah, well, both of them got work today. Jacoby got more than Brock did. He looks like he bounced back pretty well, so we're very hopeful that he'll be available. Brock got his first workout here in a while. His workouts have been great during the week. I watched him when he was working with the trainers. He's really going good, so we're really close on him.
You talked about the improvement on special teams last week. You're pleased with where they were. Are you confident that's changes that are substantive going forward that you're confident in, or is that
getting a couple guys back in the right spots and all that definitely helped us, but we played really well and we kicked the ball really well and placed the ball well, and we executed a really good game plan last week. Let's come back and see how we do. This is a really good group we're going against, but we plan on going ahead and leaving all that stuff behind, and we're really excited about Johnny Radican jumping in with these guys and helping out. Kicks coming back, and AJ's effort last week after spraining his ankle the week before was fantastic. So going in the right direction.
Would Bowers be considered questionable or at this point?
I'm not right.
Yeah, I know that.
What are the challenges the Raiders present?
It's Raider week. You know what I mean? No matter who's playing on that field, they're going to play 4 quarters. You know, I have a big deal of respect for them and how they're coached and kind of just how they play this game. And, we've seen around the league, you can't really sleep on anybody. No matter what the record is, no matter who you're playing, teams come ready to play. We're in the NFL, so can't look over anybody and got to bring your A game.
He looks sharp. It's not a game, but what we asked him to do, he did well. So, and one thing you can tell he's in good shape. That's always your worry when somebody misses a few weeks because it's different when you're playing. And but he busted his tail, did a nice job there. Now it's just a matter of getting in a game and getting reps there. So we'll see how all that goes.
Have you seen his excitement level kind of keep going up since he got back in the building a few weeks ago?
Yeah, listen, he always has great energy. I mean, that before, but it was good to get him back. And positive guy that works hard. So it's good to have him here. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's excited to play. He hasn't played in a real game for a year and 6 weeks or whatever it is. So.
Him getting back in shape. It's a matter of ramping him up, or you feel like he can handle the full workload if necessary?
Yeah, I'm gonna just watch him in the game and see how he does. He knows everything. It's just I don't know how many reps he's gonna get. I'm sure it won't be every rep. So I'd like to see how he does with what we give him.
You agreed to the 6-game suspension with the NFL. Can you just talk through that process and coming to that decision before the year starts?
Yeah. Honestly, it was a decision that was best for not only me, but for the team, so I could be here right now. And that decision, all that's over, so I'm ready.
What did you learn about yourself in the last 13 months about football games?
I learned that I love the game of football, like probably my second love right there. And not only do I love the game of football, but I was able to realize how strong I am mentally, being able to face a lot of adversity at the time.
He's going to get Rashee Rice back this week. What are we looking at?
Yeah, yards after the catch. No receiver led the NFL or had more catches in the NFL through the first 3 weeks than Rashee Rice did last year. It gives him the yards after catch guy. That's the one missing piece that we've seen on this offense over the past couple weeks. Right now, this offense in Kansas City is trending towards the best offense we've seen from them in 2 seasons, the most complete offense we've seen from them in 2 seasons. I think this offense is about to absolutely take off and score 30 to 35 a game.
My receiver, Hawk, what exactly is Rashee Rice going to add here?
Oh, he's going to add everything. Rice makes every meal better in every culture. You got to understand that. Number one, listen, when you look at what the Chiefs have been able to do offensively over the last couple of weeks since Xavier Worthy has come back, Thornton has come on, which gives them legitimate deep shots down the field. Look how Hollywood Brown and Juju are playing in the slot. This makes this receiving core probably the most dynamic in the NFL because they have weapons on every piece of the field. And if you give that to Patrick Mahomes, I hate to tell you, it seems like it's going to be the same old story.
So that's the thing. The more things change, the more they stay the same. We spent 6 weeks of the season figuring out who's the real team. Oh, it's obviously Buffalo. Baltimore's the most talented. The Steelers are doing their thing. The Chargers were going to run away with it. At the end of the day, the path to the Super Bowl goes through Kansas City again.
Death taxes in Kansas City is exactly what it is. Patrick Mahomes, even before when he didn't have the weapons after he lost Xavier Worthy in week 1, was still playing at an MVP caliber level. He was still, On extended plays, he had 536 yards. That's pass plays over 4 seconds for all of you guys watching. And no, he's got more than anybody else in the entire league. The guy is absolutely incredible, and now he has all his weapons. It's terrifying.
It's painful, but the Chiefs they're playing some good football.
What's painful?
I've been.
Will's a notorious hater of the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm a notorious hater of the Chiefs.
Why?
You can find it on the X timeline. There's,
Chaos.
Raiders. I also feel like I got to troll the fan base a little bit. I got some nice reactions out of them, so it's just kind of been fun for myself to do so.
But in this moment, are they the best
in this
team?
moment, they are playing very good football. I want to say out of their 7 trips to the red zone last week against the Lions, they scored 6 out of those 7 times. They look really good. Defense is coming along. They complement each other well. And Patrick Mahomes, he's as good as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, this offense, like I said, the last 2 years, this offense has been a little bit of getting dragged to the end of games by Patrick Mahomes. Now this is the most complete group that they've had. It's the most kind of different ways they can get to good football. I'm not ready to sit here and say that the conference runs through Kansas City.
No.
I think Denver defensively is far too good to pretend and sit there and go that they don't matter. If the Chargers can get healthy up front on their offensive line, they matter. Indianapolis offensively is very good. Buffalo has to get healthy. So I'm not ready to sit here and say, no questions asked, Kansas City's going to repeat. I think there's still a group of...
Will become just the second pair of opposing quarterbacks 40 or older in NFL history to start a regular or postseason game against each other. But all that matters to Rodgers is a 5-1 start, while the Bengals are trying to keep things afloat with Flacco, who was just traded to Cincinnati last week. A man who probably needs no icy hot at all. Andrew Hawk is joining us now live on SportsCenter. Hawk, how can the Steelers avoid an upset against this Bengals team?
It comes down to their pass rush. They have to make Joe Flacco uncomfortable. Listen, he can be really, really good and dynamic with his arm, but the reason why the Cleveland Browns felt good trading him is because they understood without a proper pass protection, he's still 40-plus years old and does not move and maneuver as well as he used to. So if the Pittsburgh Steelers can come into this game and make him uncomfortable, very much like they did Dylan Gabriel a week ago, they can end up with the success that they need to be victorious.
Yeah, and Joe Flacco is still learning that playbook out there in Cincinnati as well. Elsewhere in Pennsylvania, the Eagles are looking to avoid a 3rd straight loss. Hawk, how can they get their offense back on track?
They got to trust. They got to trust each other to take advantage of missed opportunities, because so far this season, the Eagles have not done so. You're going to see here, this is versus Denver. You're going to have A.J. Green with a deep route out of the slot. Once he clears coverage past this safety, he kind of throttles down and stops running as hard, where Jalen is looking to hit this pass. That should be a big-time touchdown for this Eagles offense. Next, you're going to see a week ago versus the New York Giants. Again, when you have 2 slot seams, you're going to key this middle safety who runs to the right, which leaves Smith wide open down the seam. Jalen has to trust his preparation, trust his knowledge of single high safety, and deliver a pass there that ends up for a touchdown for the Philadelphia Eagles. We know they have the talent. The issue has been their execution and them trusting throughout the entirety of the play that they can get it done.
Yeah, the Eagles also just still trying to figure out the identity of their offense as well. As for the team that the Eagles beat in the Super Bowl, Rashee Rice will make his season debut on Sunday when the Chiefs host the Raiders. Hawk, what will his return mean for Patrick Mahomes and this Kansas City offense?
I think you're going to see the Kansas City Chiefs offense of old. I think this makes their receiving core the most dynamic in the National Football League because of what Rashee Rice brings to the table. Early on in the season, when they had Xavier Worthy hurt, and obviously Rashee Rice was serving a suspension, there were a lot of questions. So what happened? Other players had to step up and take on bigger roles. Thornton became a legitimate deep threat. Now you get Xavier Worthy back, who was also a deep threat. Hollywood Brown, Juju get to work it in the slot. And now with Rashee Rice back, this will be the number 1 receiver for this offense. He is going to be the focal point. He is going to be the number 1 target for Patrick Mahomes. And there are just way too many weapons for typical defenses to take away.
Yeah, that Kansas City offense looking whole could be a little spooky for the rest of the league. Andrew Hawkins with the latest. Thanks so much.
There, so they put him out there. Let's see if this week gets better. Pete, we'll start with you. You're looking at Rashee Rice making his return to the field after serving his 6-game suspension for violating the league's personal conduct policy. You have the Chiefs hosting the Raiders, big favorite there. What is your bold prediction for Rashee Rice?
By the way, it's called bold predictions, so you're going out on a limb. You're not supposed to.
Keith,
if you
don't
get
make
one
excuses.
Right, it's a miracle. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be. If we were going to make a prediction,
supposed to be bold.
I'd say Rashee Rice is going to have 4 catches for a touchdown instead of the 7 for 85 and 2 touchdowns that I think he's going to get in my bold prediction. Look, he's coming off the suspended list. I don't know how, in football shape he is, but he's still going to be a part of this offense, and I think they're going to get him the football early and often. It's not like the Raiders are any good on pass defense, so I think this is going to be an opportunity for Rice to step right on in there. 7 catches, 85 yards, and 2 touchdowns. You get a new toy, you want to play with it, they're going to play with Rashee Rice this week.
Yeah, this is bold, Pete, because he's missed 6 weeks of football, and to your point, we don't know what type of in-game shape he's in, right? Will he be on a pitch count? That is the question mark. I mean, was on a tear the first couple of weeks of the season last year before he got hurt. They're definitely going to want to use his skill set more specifically in the middle of the field. Patrick Mahomes, to your point on our show yesterday, he's that guy he was 2 years ago. They're going to try to feed him early and often. The only thing is, win-wise, will he be able to stay and have his regular, amount of snaps that he's accustomed to because he's missed 6 weeks of football?
Okay, fair. They're not good predictions. They're bold predictions. I see that. All right, Lige, let's go with you. Battle of the 2 of the top teams in the AFC. We have Colts at Chargers Sunday afternoon. You're looking at Indiana Jones. What is it called, like in the movies, Indiana Jones? Is it like a mission? Is it like, what does he go on? An adventure?
Conquest, maybe?
Conquest?
I've never seen it, so
Of course you have. It's fine. I watched it.
You've never seen Indiana Jones movie?
Apparently you can't see it on Paramount Plus, though. What is your bold prediction for Indiana Jones, if you will?
As far as the Josh Simmons situation goes, I'm not going to comment on it today. Veach is handling everything there, and we'll leave it at that.
Understanding you're going to hold back on details. Josh isn't practicing today.
Yeah, I'm just going to let it go here. Yeah, let it go here.
Just to complete that, no timeline. I know you're not going to comment, but there's no timeline whatsoever. Okay.
Patrick, I understand Sunday before kickoff was a bit unusual with Josh, but since then, have you been able to communicate with him? And is there any message you have for him at this point, given just the unusual nature of this?
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep conversations kind of between us, but I mean, it's I'm always praying for all my teammates, so I'm always praying for them, and I'll just keep everything else kind of private to us.
Football. The Chiefs have turned things around after their slow start to the season, especially on offense. In their first 3 games, they averaged just 20 points. Since then, they're scoring over 30 points per game. And now Patrick Mahomes will be getting more help with Rashee Rice returning from his suspension. Since 2023, Mahomes has a better QBR, higher completion percentage, and more yards per attempt targeting Rice than all other receivers. Are the Chiefs the team to beat in the National Football League? RC, Dan, quiet down because the queen has arrived. The one and only Mina Kimes is in the house. What's going on, Mina? You can answer that question. Are the Chiefs the team to beat in the NFL? What's going on?
Yeah, they are, Stephen A. They're the best team yet again, same as it ever was. And you hit it. It really starts with the offense. This is statistically a top 5 offense in the NFL now, despite the fact that they had a slow start to the season. But once again, they are on top. The quarterback is playing the best of any quarterback in football, once again. And they're doing all of this despite the fact that they don't even have their number 1 wide receiver yet. Rashee Rice returns this week. And for those who forgot, in the second half of his rookie season, he led all receivers league-wide in yards after the catch. So you're taking an offense that is already a top 5 unit, and then you're adding a number 1 receiver on top of that. I do have some small concerns about the pass rush, or not small, but legitimate concerns. But I have been encouraged as of late by the play of this young secondary, which, surprise, surprise, Steve Spagnuolo has done it again in coaching those guys up. This is, once again, the number 1 team. They are not perfect, but no perfect team exists in the NFL right now. It's a very flawed league, and I think their offense, to me, puts them on top.
Go ahead, Dan.
I'm not putting the Chiefs.
Hold on. Did I hear a pregnant pause? Do I need to go to RC? Were you not ready for my question?
I was actually looking at RC.
Okay, all right. Well, hurry up. I mean, let's get it together now. Let's get it together.
No, I'm looking at his body language, so we're not talking over.
All right.
I'm not putting the Chiefs over Detroit.
I'm not putting the Chiefs over Seattle.
What?
I'm not putting the Chiefs over Tampa Bay. When Tampa Bay's they just beat Detroit. Detroit had a terrible officiating call on their first drive that took a touchdown away from Jared Goff and had 4 of their starters on defense out. Okay, I'm not putting them when Detroit is healthy. They're the best team in football. Seattle, I'm telling everybody, Seattle is as good as anybody in ball. And then Tampa Bay's 5-1 with me playing wide receiver at some points. Tampa Bay is going to be the rare team that gets healthier as this season goes along. And so while Kansas City's playing fantastic, they're no question one of the best. But I'm not just going to sit here and say they're the team to beat and everyone's going to go, well, they have Patrick.
Who's the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks?
Sam Darnold. It's the most explosive pass game in the NFL right now.
Weren't they pretty good last year when he was in Minnesota and they were 14-2 and they were throwing water on his head like he was celebrating? And then you sat on national television acting like they had won something. And I said, yo, they haven't won anything yet. And then they nosedived the last game of the regular season with a division title on the line. And then after that got trounced in the playoffs. That same Sam Darnold?
That same Sam Darnold.
RC, go ahead, man. Go ahead, RC. Go ahead. I just thought I'd point that out. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree with Mina. And I've sort of been on this the entire season. When they were 0-2, I was still saying, hey, man, they don't have Xavier Worthy, and you have to wait until Rashee Rice returns. And then we started to see Tyquan Thornton evolve. And then now Hollywood Brown has become a huge part of this offense as Xavier Worthy returned. We saw Travis Kelce not necessarily be old Travis Kelce, but be a Travis Kelce who in one-on-one matchups can go out there and win. And we have gotten desensitized to watching Patrick Mahomes play. We have a level of expectation of him that if the numbers don't feel a certain way or look a certain way, we don't recognize how well he is playing. He has put this team on his back like a Toomey backpack since the first week of this season. And he said, I'm going to do every single thing I need to do to make us competitive. Every single thing I need to do to help us win. And Steve Spagnuolo, who at the beginning of the season, there was communication issues. There was issues when they blitzed and being able to match up on the back end. Now starting to use some of those young pieces that has helped Trent McDuffie move around and be utilized wherever you want him each and every week. And you watch the game, and you see guys like Bolton and Tranquil and Chanel just absolutely ball week to week. This is the team to beat, and this is why. Because you don't get to say, Dan, that, they have Patrick Mahomes and just poo-poo it. Because it's Patrick Mahomes. And at some point, people are going to stand across from him and remember, this is a team that's been to 7 straight AFC championships.
All right, Mina, I'm going to let you respond to that first before I know Dan wants to get in here, but he might get in the way of you talking, Mina, and I can't allow that to happen. Go ahead.
I'm thrilled, first of all, because I thought we would all come up here and agree about the Chiefs. So I'm glad Dan actually gave us a hoop to dunk on with this. I'm going to address specifically what you said about Detroit and the injuries explaining that victory. Dan, I know you watched that game very closely, and I know you know that the starters who were missing were not the primary reason why the Chiefs moved the ball on Detroit so easily. They targeted the linebackers relentlessly in that game. Relentlessly. Ryan, you remember this as well. Those are the starters for Detroit. If these two teams were to play again, they would roll back with the exact same game plan. And watching the game, Chiefs didn't win because of calls. Come on. The Chiefs won because the offense simply out-executed them drive after drive after drive. This offense is relentless. And yes, they are getting their best receiver back. It's crazy to me that you're writing off that win and suggesting that Detroit is a better football team based on what we saw that night.
No, and what I don't want is for people and Chiefs fans to sit here and go, Dan Orlovsky saying the Chiefs are bad. They're awesome. I completely agree. I feel like Patrick's played at an MVP level. But Mina, while you could sit there and say they attacked the linebackers, 3 touchdowns are scored on 3rd down in the red zone, beating man coverage concepts. So we can't sit here and...
Chris Collinsworth just went on national television and called Patrick Mahomes the 14th best quarterback in the NFL, and I'm about to lose my mind over how absurdly wrong this take is. While everyone's debating whether the Chiefs need a running back or pass rusher at the trade deadline, the real story that should have every member of Chiefs Kingdom fired up is watching one of the most respected voices in football completely disrespect the greatest quarterback of this generation with with some of the worst logic I've ever heard from an analyst of his caliber. This isn't just a bad take. This is the kind of take that makes you question everything else the person has ever said. And when you dig into the actual numbers and compare them to what Collinsworth is claiming, you'll realize just how ridiculous this whole situation really is. Chris Collinsworth went on Kay Adams' show Up and Adams, and when she asked him if he really believes Patrick Mahomes is the 14th best quarterback in the NFL according to PFF's rankings, his answer was honestly shocking. He said, and I quote, "According to this year's statistics, and let's face it, he had a pick six for 99 yards that cost them a game. So there are players that have played better over the first 5 games of the season." Are you kidding me right now? This is coming from a guy I actually respect. Someone who built PFF into what it is today. Someone who does great work on Sunday Night Football. But my God, this take is absolutely horrible on every single level. Let me break down why this argument is complete garbage, starting with the most obvious problem. It's not even true what he said about Mahomes being poor statistically. Patrick Mahomes has been absolutely fantastic statistically this season. Look at the actual numbers if you don't believe me. He's got a 64.8% completion percentage, which is probably the only stat you could even slightly knock him for. But he's thrown for over 1,500 yards in just 6 games. He's got 11 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions, and he's averaging over 7 yards per attempt. These are borderline MVP numbers, maybe even straight up MVP level performance. And he's doing this without his best receiver through the first 6 games of the season. It makes me genuinely angry to hear somebody with Collinsworth's platform say Patrick Mahomes is outside the top 10 in the NFL when he's performed this well. Those of us who watch him every single week as Chiefs fans know exactly what kind of talent he is and how he elevates everyone around him. The same people ranking Mahomes 14th are out there calling us the best team in the NFL, and guess what? He's the reason why. He is the single biggest reason this team is where it is right now, but it gets even worse when you look at how inconsistent PFF's evaluations are with other quarterbacks. Let me put Mahomes and Josh Allen head to head, because PFF absolutely loves Josh Allen. We all know that. Check out their week 6 stats and tell me if this makes any sense. Mahomes threw for 257 yards. Allen threw for 180. Mahomes had 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Allen had 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. The QB rating wasn't even close. Josh Allen wasn't even in Mahomes' ballpark, yet somehow PFF has only a 1.4 point difference between their grades. How? Seriously, how does that make any sense? There is zero world in which you could say these two performances are within 1.4 points of each other on any grading system that should be worth anything. Patrick Mahomes elevated his team to victory over one of the best teams in the NFL. Josh Allen loses to the Atlanta Falcons in a game where he looked absolutely awful against their defense, and he gets a grade that's only 1.4 points lower than Mahomes? And they both get low C grades? Are we kidding right now? Patrick Mahomes should have been a 90+ grade for that performance. The cherry on top of this disaster of an argument is that in his long, winding attempt to justify PFF's grading of Patrick Mahomes, Collinsworth can come up with exactly one bad play. One single example. He's got the 99-yard pick six, and sure, that's fair enough. Not a great play from Mahomes, but if you can only come up with one example when you're making a big structured argument about why someone is ranked 14th, it's probably a pretty good sign that your argument sucks. I personally can come up with more negative plays from Mahomes this season because I've actually watched every snap of Chiefs football, but the fact that the owner of PFF can only point to one mistake tells you everything you need to know about how weak this take really is. Honestly, I think this whole situation reveals a bigger problem with analytics-based grading systems that don't account for context, clutch performance, and the intangibles that separate great quarterbacks from legends. Mahomes is doing things that don't show up in PFF's algorithm, and when you rank him 14th while he's leading the best team in football, you're basically admitting your system is broken. Now, connecting this controversy to what really matters for the Chiefs' success going forward, there's been tons of buzz about potential moves at the trade deadline in 3 weeks. The front office has been asking around about running backs and pass rushers, and the debate is heating up about which position is the bigger need right now. Ian Rappaport dropped a tweet saying the Chiefs are specifically asking teams about running backs, with names like Breece Hall from the Jets, Alvin Kamara from the Saints, Jalen Wright from Miami, and Devin Singletary from the Giants being mentioned as potential candidates. Let me get one thing straight right off the bat. If the Chiefs trade for Devin Singletary, I'm going to lose it. Adding Singletary to this offense would be like just elevating Clyde Edwards-Helaire to a bigger role. It makes absolutely no sense and gives you zero juice. But some of these other names, now we're talking about moves that could genuinely transform this offense. Breece Hall is the dream scenario, no question about it. This dude is stuck in hell with the New York Jets right now, and he's made it pretty clear he wants out. After they lost in London, he posted on Instagram something like free 20, talking about himself wanting to get freed from that disaster. He's had some absolute banger quotes in press conferences too, like when he said the Jets shoot themselves in the foot, then come back and shoot ourselves in the head. The guy is ready to get the hell out of New York, and honestly, who wouldn't be? Hall can do it all. He's effective in the pass game. He's an explosive runner that the Chiefs just don't have right now, and at his age, he's got years of high-level production ahead of him. The problem is he's not going to be cheap. Technically, he's a rental since he'll be a free agent, but a running back as talented as him is probably going to ask for north of $10 million per year, maybe even close to 20 or whatever Saquon Barkley is getting right now. So if you trade for Hall, you're probably going to have to extend him, and that's where the financial chess game gets complicated. That's where Alvin Kamara becomes such an intriguing option. Kamara hits the sweet spot because he's a cheap rental for half a season. This reminds me so much of when the Chiefs had Jerick McKinnon back in the day. A guy who could do absolutely everything. McKinnon had 9 straight games with receiving touchdowns during the regular season a couple years ago. Something crazy like that. Right now, it feels like the Chiefs don't really trust Carson Steele with a bigger role yet. They're kind of just giving him breadcrumbs and slowly building him up. Kamara does everything better than any running back on the Chiefs roster right now. And yeah, he's over 30, but he'll be cheap, and he's a rental. The Chiefs could pull that off financially, and he's a dream fit in Andy Reid's offense because he does things your current running back simply can't do. He's a hell of a route runner, we all know that, and he's still a pretty decent runner. This isn't a Le'Veon Bell situation or a LeSean McCoy situation where you're getting a washed-up veteran. If you get Kamara, he becomes your #1 back, your 3-down back playing 70+% of the snaps. He can be your goal line guy, your 3rd-down back catching passes out of the backfield, or even running routes over the middle. Then there's Jalen Wright from Miami, who's more of an under-the-radar option. Miami's got Devin Achaney and Jalen Wright, plus they just drafted another back, so Wright hasn't gotten much playing time. He's been battling some health issues early this year, but if Brett Veach wanted to go get somebody for cheap, Wright probably can't cost that much. That might be the move if they're looking for value rather than a headline-grabbing acquisition. But here's where the debate gets really interesting. Is running back even the biggest need? Over the past couple weeks, the offensive line has been better, and the Chiefs have run the ball more effectively. They're still not great on the ground, but they're at least running with more success than those first 4 weeks when it looked absolutely brutal. Meanwhile, the defensive line and specifically the pass rush has been consistently terrible all season long. They can't generate consistent pressure, and when they do, it comes off of stunts and blitz packages where they have to get creative. The PFF rankings for the Chiefs defensive line are absolutely depressing. Derek Nnadi is ranked 122nd out of 122 interior defensive linemen. Jerry Tillery is 113th out of 122. Chris Jones, who's supposed to be elite, is 64th out of 122. Felix Anudike-Uzomah is 104th out of 110 edge rushers. Charles Omenihu is 92nd out of 110. George Karlaftis has the best grade of any Chiefs defensive lineman, and he's only 30th out of 110. The Chiefs are on pace for less than 40 sacks this season. They only have 12 sacks through 6 games. That's a massive problem because if you look at every time the Chiefs have lost in the playoffs or Super Bowls, those teams had dominant defensive lines. The Chiefs don't have that right now. While the secondary is absolutely locked down and playing elite football, how confident can you really be going into the playoffs against the best teams in the NFL, relying on your secondary to not only stay healthy, but also play lockdown coverage for 5 to 15 seconds every single play? The defensive line matters, especially in January and February. So what are the options for beefing up that pass rush? Kayvon Thibodeau from the Giants is the dream trade. He's only 24 years old and incredibly talented, but the Giants just paid Brian Burns and drafted Abdul Carter, so maybe Thibodeau becomes available. He's in one of the final years of his deal, so he'd have to get paid, but that's a young elite talent that could be a cornerstone for years. Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals is another fascinating option. He's a free agent, and the Bengals need all the draft assets they can get after making the questionable decision to pay both their wide receivers. They've refused to work out a deal with Hendrickson, so maybe he's available. Jalen Phillips from Miami would be great too, but he's probably going to command close to $100 million, which gets complicated with the Chiefs' cap situation for 2026. That's the real issue with any of these trades. The finances for next year. It's looking tight for the Chiefs with some serious decisions to make. Leo Chenal is a free agent. Trent McDuffie needs an extension soon, and he'll probably get north of $20 million per year, maybe close to $30 million like Sauce Gardner got. So there are a lot of roster decisions coming for 2026, and that makes you wonder what can actually fit for the rest of 2025. Kieris Tonga from the Arizona Cardinals is an interesting under-the-radar option. He's kind of just rotting in Arizona on a team that's going nowhere, and he's better than Derek Nottie at getting to the quarterback and stopping the run. That's a no-brainer upgrade if they can get him cheap. Matthew Judon is another intriguing name. He's with the Dolphins now, playing only about 32% of the snaps, but he'd probably be one of your premier rushers outside of Jones and Karlaftis. The Chiefs have historically gone after aging veterans for cheap at the deadline. Guys like Terrell Suggs, Carlos Dunlap, and Melvin Ingram. They're guys approaching 30 or over 30 who are cheap rentals rather than young 24 or 25-year-old players who cost draft capital and big extensions. That's probably the more likely scenario here. Thinking about this whole situation, I believe the defensive line is actually the bigger need right now, despite running back getting more attention. The offense has found some rhythm over the past 3 weeks. They're top 5 in efficiency metrics. The rushing success rate has improved, and Xavier Worthy's return has been a huge boost. But those defensive line numbers are absolutely brutal, and in the playoffs, you need to be able to get pressure without blitzing. I think Brett Veach makes a move for a veteran pass rusher on a cheap deal rather than breaking the bank for a running back. But honestly, if they could swing both a running back and a defensive lineman, this team would be absolutely cooking heading into the stretch run. Tying all of this together with what's immediately in front of us, the Chiefs have a massive Week 7 divisional matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders coming up. This isn't a very good football team, let's be real, but you can't take any divisional game lightly because you're going to get their best shot regardless of their record. The injury report has some interesting notes. The only Chief on the report is Josh Simmons dealing with some serious personal issues back in California with his family, and will get him back whenever he's ready. For the Raiders, they're going to be down 2 of their best offensive pieces. Brock Bowers has been dealing with a knee injury and hasn't practiced over the last couple days. Jacoby Myers missed practice Wednesday dealing with knee and toe injuries. Plus, there are trade rumors swirling around him from some reports saying he's on his way out of Las Vegas after contract disputes in the offseason. Dylan Laube, one of their second-year running backs, is dealing with a hamstring injury too. The blueprint for beating this Raiders team is simple. Do what everyone else has done to them this season, or maybe more accurately, let them do it to themselves. Force turnovers. Their quarterback situation has been atrocious. Whoever's playing is 32nd in the NFL in interceptions per game. They've thrown an interception in 83% of their games, with just 1 game all season without a pick. No other NFL team is even above 70% of their games with an interception. They're 31st in giveaways per game. This team absolutely stinks at holding on to the football, and if the Chiefs can take advantage of that by forcing a couple turnovers, which has been an issue for Kansas City at times, they can win this game easily. Here's the crazy part. A lot of people worry you need pressure to force turnovers, and that's been a huge struggle for the Chiefs pass rush. But get this, 5% of the Raiders quarterback's interceptions this season were thrown without any pressure. The guy's just really struggling from clean pockets, so if the Chiefs DBs keep their heads on a swivel, they're going to find opportunities to create extra possessions for the offense. That leads directly into the second key for victory. Get Rashee Rice involved early and often. Number 4 is back this week after his suspension, and this is huge because the Raiders cornerback room is absolutely terrible. Eric Stokes is a draft bust. Darnay Holmes is not good, and nobody else in that room can match up with Rashee Rice one-on-one. They just don't have that kind of talent. When the Chiefs get Rice involved early in this game and make the Raiders respect him, everything else is going to open up. This is the same effect we saw when Xavier Worthy came back. The offense improved a ton because defenses had to account for his speed. Now think about that effect times 5. Rashee Rice is a better player than Worthy. He's a true number 1 receiver. He's an X-receiver on the outside. If they make defenses understand that number 4 is the biggest threat on the field and you've got to account for him with 2 defenders, it's going to be easy matchups for Travis Kelce, easy matchups for Xavier Worthy, easy matchups for Taquan Thornton, lots of opportunities for other guys to get involved because Rice is commanding so much attention. The final key to victory is finishing drives in the red zone. The Raiders don't do a lot well. They're not a very good team, as we've mentioned, but one area where they're surprisingly effective is red zone defense. Outside of a game against the Colts where they got ran over and the Colts went 6 for 6 in the red zone, the Raiders are 6 for 15 in red zone defense, which would make them second best in the entire NFL. It's how they've been able to hang around in most of their games outside of that Colts blowout. They're good at forcing teams to settle for field goals, and if the Chiefs continually settle for 3 points, the Raiders will hang around. Kansas City has been better at finishing drives over the last couple games, converting about 66% in the red zone. That needs to go up to 70% this week against a Raiders defense that should have no business matching up with this offense. The message the Chiefs need to send this week is simple. We've got Rashee back, we're back to 100%, and nothing's changed. The death of the Chiefs dynasty was greatly exaggerated in the media over the last couple weeks. The entire NFL just watched Kansas City go dismantle the Lions. Now let's do it again even bigger. Let's show them what this looks like when Rashee's back and the offense is at full strength. I expect utter domination against Vegas. My score prediction is Chiefs 35, Raiders 21. I think Kansas City really gets after them. The Raiders offense has a decent day and scores some points, but they can't keep up at